Welcome to Daytona State College. My name is Chef Costa Magoulas, and I'm the dean here at the School of Hospitality Management. Today, I'd like to talk to you about knives. A lot's been written about knives, but you know, it is the most important tool in the kitchen. It is also the oldest tool in the kitchen. Let's go back to the caveman era. 2.5 million years ago in France, they found remnants of small stone knives in the kitchens there. And this is a replica of that knife. I want to bring you out a few so you can see them. This is what the cavemen used to cut food and weapons, and this stayed in civilization all the way into the Egyptian era. But quite before then, just for a little bit, the Mayans and the Aztecs came up with this obsidian volcanic glass knife. It's amazing. It's made from volcanic rock, which has been heated so much it turns into actually glass. Some surgeons today actually use it for surgery. They feel it's sharper than a scalpel. I think it's pretty neat. These are the types of knives that was used for hundreds of years. It wasn't until the Bronze Age, where the Greeks started using the tin and copper mixed together to use bronze, that knives started to change. They were still using stone knives in the kitchen. However, then the Hittites and the Greeks found iron, and of course the mystery of iron was sent around the world. So steel was used in most utensils. Now, the history of all knives really date back to the sword industry. Solinger, Germany, some 2,000 years ago, they found smelting pots there that shows that they were producing swords in Solinger, Germany. And in Santoku, Japan, the same thing. So the history of the knife really comes from the Solinger, Germany sword, and of course, the famous samurai sword from Santoku, Japan. So these are actually the precursor to all the kitchen utensils that are used in the kitchens today. Put these aside. In the early 1800s, they started using steel alloys, and these are some of the knives that were used. This is a typical French knife. The reason these are called French knives or chef's knives, the French influenced the shape of the knives, the way that you see it designed here. The tip, the blade, the spine, the handle, the butt. That's a typical French knife. And that design held on because the culinary in France influenced it. Even the Japanese knives made today are influenced by that design. But this is one of the earlier knives in the 1800s, early 1900s. It was made out of galvanized. The problem with these knives, that they were tarnished, and you can see the patina on it at brown. That's not very good. It makes food change color. You couldn't cut lettuce or tomatoes and things like that. So eventually, they came up with the first stainless steel knife. The first stainless steel knife was produced in 1919. They put chromium steel with steel alloy, and they came up with this knife. And they used that throughout. They still use them today. However, the first knives, when they were produced, were rather hard to sharpen. And you can see the grinding marks on this blade. They were hard, they were good. It wouldn't tarnish the food, but it were hard to sharpen. And then it evolved into what is today's modern chef knife. We call it a laminated knife because it is different steels that have been wrapped and folded together with chromium. And this is quite large French knife, but French knife can be in 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 inches, any size. They're all built the same. The tip, you see the back, how it's thin at the top and strong at the bottom. That's where all the work is done with the knife. The blade, it's a beautiful knife. They also have developed knives that are ceramic. I'm not a big proponent of ceramic. This is one here, and you can see why. I had this knife. It was very, very sharp, but I dropped it. They will break. Now let's look at the modern chef knives of today. This is a typical French knife. Again, it's a smaller model. It has the steel, chromium steel. It sharpens readily, very strong. It has the spine that goes all the way through the handle, which means that's a good knife. You must look for that for quality of knife. The blade, the bolster is right here. It's real thick. So when you're cooking or cutting or doing whatever, it really does a job for it. The proper way to hold the French knife is like this. You put 2 fingers and you grab it and squeeze it here, and wrap the 3 fingers around the handle. Now what is going to happen, that blade is going to go up your arm, so there's like a line here so you know that you're holding it properly. You're really grabbing it like this and guiding it. Never put your finger on top of a knife, because it'll make the knife turn, and you can cut yourself readily. So always like this. Now I'm going to cut something for you very quickly. Piece of lettuce. We're going to show you the technique again for cutting and dicing with a French knife. I grab it again, wrap my 3 fingers. I want to make sure that I have the weight distributed evenly on my feet, and I have like an X here. So here's my food, here's my knife. The most important part, curl your fingers, the thumb behind it, so that there's nothing there for the knife to cut. That's the technique that you really need to learn, and it's probably the hardest, because this is uncomfortable. But if you grab the product, put the toe of the knife on the table, and all you're going to do is cut like this. And I'll show you at an angle. As you're cutting, the knife is rocking. That's the technique you want to develop. So what happens, you put your product here, toe here. The knife is going to actually touch the tip of my knuckle, so I'll know where the knife is at all times. So I can sit here and cut. And that's a typical way to slice and chop with a French knife. Let me get this out of here. The next knife I want to show you is the boning knife or carving knife. It's a boning knife. It's thin bladed so you can work around bone. This is very helpful when you're doing chicken or any other carcass meat. Here's a baked chicken that I have here. So I'm going to take it. I use the same technique. Grab it, come in here. Now I'm going to just follow the bone all the way down. And now I have a nice piece of breast that just came off of that chicken. Now if I want to cut off the leg, I'll come here and just follow the joint, cut the leg off, again the thigh. So there's 3 pieces for my dinner. This knife is made for that job so that you can get around bones easily. We'll put this away and we'll look at the other knives. Now, this is a knife I just wanted to show you. It's a fish fillet knife. It looks like an all-purpose knife, but the blade, see how flexible it is. So that when you're filleting a fish, you can actually cut and push down on it very close to the bone, and the fillet comes right off. Has to be very flexible for an all-purpose knife. Most knives are not that flexible. Now, there's other bladed knives. This is a serrated blade. What's this for? You can cut bread with it, sometimes tomato. We have our loaf of bread here. Grab our technique again, and we just saw through the bread. How easy that is. Boy, that bread looks good, too. Very simple technique. Now, we have a knife here that's very useful. It's a paring knife. Now, what do you use a paring knife for? Well, it has many uses. One of them is you can take an apple and you can pare an apple. Use the different grip for the paring knife. You grab it like this and wrap around. It's called the choke hold, so that the thumb is loose. The blade will be toward you, not away from you. So when you're cutting, you're using this motion. So you're cutting this way, and you can come off like this. And that's one of the techniques that you can use. That's what a paring knife can do. You can also take a paring knife and work with mushrooms. The little stem on the bottom, you turn the stem as you turn the knife, and it comes right off. You can actually decorate around the top using the tip, and that decorates the mushroom. That's how you use a paring knife. But a paring knife can only be used for certain jobs. If you have a large job like roast beef, this is a nice prime rib, you can't take a paring knife and cut. Look at this. It just doesn't work. That's why you have to use a slicer. This is a slicer. It's a long blade, sharp, and you take and you push through it, and you go right through the meat, slicing it. You have a nice, even cut. It has that long blade. That's the job that it performs. There's another knife that's similar to the slicer that we have, and this is called a carving knife or a gratin knife. The gratin meaning the grooves here, so it has air pockets when it cuts the meat so it doesn't stick to the meat. You see these on buffets all the time when they're using to cut meats. So this can be used as well. See how it goes right through? Works just like a slicer. Now, if you have a buffet, we'll put this behind me. You can take the slicer and lay the meat flat, lay the blade flat, and you slice this way. And now you have very nice thin slices of roast beef. That's what the carving knife can do. So every knife has its purpose. Now we're going to move on. Let's change this cutting board. Now we're going to take a pepper, and we're going to use the Japanese-style French knife, which is called the Santoku. The Santoku, there's very different kinds. This is a commercial-grade wood-stuffed Santoku. This is a shun, which is built in the traditional way, which I really like this. They're quite nice. The Santoku knives are built with thinner blades. They're very, very sharp, and they're nice for cutting vegetables and fruits. So I'm going to use this to show you how to cut a pepper. Again, you use the technique of hiding your fingers. Grab the same technique with your knife. Cut the top off. See how easy that came off? Cut the bottom. Now you take that knife and you cut around the pepper. This is how you cut a pepper. Now, if you look, that pepper is clean all the way around. Now, when you want to finish, you do your little, we do our motion cut that we were talking about. There's nice julienne cuts. If you want to take those peppers and cut them smaller, you line them up. Do the same cut again, grabbing, hiding your fingers. Now we have a small dice. Now, let me get this behind me. We've talked about the different knives and the usages and what we can do with all these knives. Every knife has its purpose, and it's very important that you use the right knife for the right job. When you become comfortable, this is what will happen. You can take your knife, and you can do this. Take another piece of celery, we'll use that to cut with. And then we can take a blindfold, and give me a minute to put this on. Okay. You have to tell me if my hat is on properly. Now I feel the celery, I feel the knife. Same technique, grab here, I use the technique, and now I'm sitting here cutting. This comes to you after years of practice, and you feel comfortable with the technique. Well, this is Chef Costa Magoulas from Daytona State College saying goodbye and thanking you for joining us for this small segment. Please look forward to the other segments we will be doing here at the college, and Daytona State College is looking forward to being in your kitchens. Always, always remember and honor the food.